which he now doesn't want to discuss because it's too liberal for South Carolina. The other was that he claimed he created 100,000 jobs. Well, the Washington Post yesterday gave him 3 Pinocchios on that jobs claim. They pointed out that in 1994, running for the Senate, he claimed to have created 10,000 jobs, and then he wasn't happy in capital and management role after that, and they said they couldn't find any evidence that he created 100,000 jobs. And now remember, working with Clinton, we created about 11 million jobs, so there's a pretty big difference in scale. But so I've asked questions about, let's look at the record, let's see the details. Don't just give us the claim, show us what actually happened. That somehow got turned into questioning capitalism, which is baloney. This guy's running for president. He's making a set of claims. He based a lot of it on his career. If you ask about his career, it's because he's running for president. I think he owes the country a much more detailed answer about what his career was like, what decisions they made, because we're looking at the judgment, the values of a particular person, not of a system, but of one guy, Mitt Romney, who wants to be president.
You keep using the term Massachusetts moderate. I think most people recognize you're conservative. Do you think that between you, Rick Perry, Rick Santorum, that you're splitting the conservative vote?
Well, of course we are, and that's a concern to us. And frankly, as the race clarifies over the next 5 or 6 days, my hope is, given the polls we've seen where I'm clearly the only one who's close enough to Romney to beat him, my hope is that the average South Carolina voter will decide they want to vote for the conservative who could stop Romney, not just cast a protest vote. And if we can consolidate conservatives, it's very clear from the polling data, if we consolidate conservatives, we could beat Romney by a big margin. And that's one of my major challenges in the next 8 or 9 days, is to convince conservatives to come together to make sure that we don't nominate a moderate who I think would have a very hard time debating Obama.
How does Ron Paul factor into all of this?
I think Ron Paul is a protest candidate in his own universe with his own supporters. And I think that you don't draw votes away from him, and he doesn't draw votes away from anybody else. He's a unique protest candidate who has a very strong message that's a combination of critiquing the Federal Reserve, calling for hard money, being basically an isolationist about Iranian nuclear weapons, and indifferent to the survival of Israel, and then a lot of young people who want him to legalize drugs. And I think that's a very interesting coalition, but it doesn't fit anybody else's campaign.
All right, Mr. Speaker, thanks so much for being with us. We really appreciate it. And coming up, it appears some of Mitt Romney's GOP rivals have taken a page out of President Obama's playbook. More specifically, the comments of Governor Perry about his time at Bain Capital. We'll check in with Juan Williams and Liz Cheney. They're here with reaction. Later, the First Lady Unplugged. We have highlights of an interview of Michelle Obama that you have to see to believe. That and our Great American Panel and much more straight ahead.
Today's headlines is brought to you by Hyundai. New thinking, new possibilities.